Hi everyone, my name is Leili Seifi. I'm an associate professor at the University of Virginia. I'm here with Mr. Duncan Smith, ELC planning team member. Hi Duncan, welcome and thank you so much for accepting the invitation.
You're welcome, Leili.
Thank you. So I have a few questions today for you. First of all, please introduce yourself and tell us how did you get involved with entrepreneurship?
Okay, my name is Duncan Smith. I'm currently the Chief Strategist for EBSCO Learning, EBSCO Learning, which is a unit of EBSCO Information Services, and my role in that unit is primarily focused on developing strategies for public libraries, for our company to work with public libraries. Prior to that, I was a public librarian in the United States who couldn't read fast enough to answer the "what's a good book to read" question. So two buddies and I came up with an idea for a database that would help us answer that question in a more efficient and effective way. And that database is called Novelist. And I assume that many people who are seeing this video are aware of that product and that resource. So I am sort of a librarian entrepreneur. And I also feel that all librarians are entrepreneurs, because one definition of an entrepreneur is someone who solves problems for others. And we as librarians answer questions, i.e. problems for users all day, every day. So there's that. So that's kind of my history with entrepreneurship. And in my current role, I'm working with public libraries and with EBSCO to help expand services to entrepreneurs and small businesses in their communities. So that's how I got involved.
Thank you. That's great. That's great. So in your idea, how public libraries can position themselves in entrepreneur ecosystem?
Got it. So I think EBSCO and Library Journal did a study in December of last year that looked at the landscape for public libraries in the US and the services they provided to entrepreneurs and their impressions about those services. And one of the things that emerged from that work was that in libraries where, while all libraries were providing books, and most of them were providing access to databases that supported entrepreneurs and small business people in their journey. And many were doing programs, and many were coordinating with community organizations. Some of those libraries were actually implementing entrepreneur in residence programs where they had an entrepreneur in the library who was available to talk to those individuals who were thinking about starting their own business, as well as having one-on-one meetings with library staff who were familiar with business resources and stuff as well. When we asked those participating in the study what was the most effective resource, the most helpful resource or service they provided to users, to emerging entrepreneurs, as I like to call them, it was that entrepreneur in residence service or the one-on-one meeting with a librarian. So what that tells me is that people who are starting a business or who are exploring their inner entrepreneur want to talk to knowledgeable people. So one of the things for libraries to do is to be sure they understand who in their community who are the agencies and experts that are resident in their community to help people who want to talk to people, to connect people with the experts they need to talk with, right? And so I think that sort of community partnership between agencies that are working with entrepreneurs in your community is one of the best ways for the library to be an active and vital part of their ecosystem. And in fact, when we asked participants in that study, what's the one piece of advice that you would suggest that someone who is starting a library that's just starting to work in this area, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them? Half of those folks, half of the suggestions were build community relationships, build community partnerships. So that's how I think libraries can become more engaged with their local ecosystem.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Duncan, I would like to know that as working at the EBSCO, how your organization support entrepreneurship, especially
Okay.
maybe like on public libraries?
Sure. Yeah. So there are a variety of things we do. Of course, we are also one of those companies that provide ebooks and databases and services and digital magazines that support, that I mentioned earlier. The other things that we're doing is we have products and services that also support entrepreneurs throughout their journey. Okay, so for example, we have an entrepreneurship mindset training course that helps those folks who are beginning to explore whether entrepreneurship is right for them or not, figure out whether they have the right mindset to pursue that path. We also have partnered with, you mentioned ecosystems earlier in this conversation. We have partnered with a company called EcoMap, ECOMAP, that is actually a platform that will map your local entrepreneurial ecosystem for you. So that's a way to jumpstart that community relationship piece that we mentioned earlier. The other things that we're doing is, as you know, I mentioned our research study with Library Journal. We are funding research and we are doing studies to understand better the needs of entrepreneurs and people so that we can provide that information to libraries for their planning purposes and to help them make decisions, data-based decisions on what they can best do in their communities. And just to give you a sense of how some of that research works, we completed, again, December of 2022, January of 2023, a study where we looked at individuals in the United States, adults in the United States who were making work-life changes. They were looking for another job. They were thinking about changing careers. They were just thinking about re-entering the workforce after being out of it for a while. Out of 1,500 adults, 33% of them had considered starting their own business. So that's a significant number of people in the adults in public libraries communities who are actively exploring this question. And 27% of those folks had considered either becoming a consultant or freelancing. Again, significant, number of people are asking these questions. So we should really be thinking about how we can help them. And then we do webinars and trainings that are aimed at communicating all of this information back into the profession, including supporting events like the pitch competition with entrepreneurship in libraries, and being part of this conference that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's great. I remember in the beginning of the year, like for pitch competition, it was really wonderful cooperation, like you funded that pitch. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And could you please share with us information needs and practices of entrepreneurs?
Well, I think the thing that some of the things we talked about is one is the other thing from that study of 1,500 adults who were making work-life changes. half of them had done some sort of skills assessment or looking at their abilities or looking at their values and what they hope to achieve in life, those sorts of things, those sort of self-assessment activities. And I think most people who are starting a business or considering becoming an entrepreneur are in that process of, is this right for me? You know, what all is involved in starting a business? And I think that, you know, many people, unless they've grown up in a entrepreneurial family, don't understand that sort of entrepreneur's journey, you know, all the steps and stages. So anything that we can do to help people understand where they are in the process. I know from anecdotally from talking to a lot of my colleagues that one of their most frequent questions is someone comes in and they want to write a business plan. And business plans are important when you're ready to seek funding. But if you haven't sold anything yet, or you haven't developed a product yet, a business plan is not necessarily the best way to figure out if you're on the right track.
That's right.
You know, that's one of the things. And I know that one of the programs coming up in the conference is on looking at the business canvas, which is sort of a much more pragmatic and practical approach for these people. So I'd encourage people to go to the conference or at least register so that they can get the recording to learn about that particular piece. Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. My last question is that what do you hope the ELC conference in November will accomplish?
Well, I think in looking at the program that's coming up, I'm amazed at the diversity of activities and different countries are represented. There's both academics and publics. They're all different types of libraries. And so I just think one of the things that I'm hopeful that this conference will do is reaffirm the importance of these services, regardless of where you are geographically located and where you are institutionally positioned. That all libraries everywhere have an opportunity to support individuals in achieving their personal, financial, and business dreams. And I think that's important work. That's life-changing work that needs to be done. And one of the things that I also am really appreciative with this particular conference is it's that I'm going to mess up the title.
Refresh and refocus. Yes.
There you go.
Refresh and refocus.
I had the words, but in the wrong order. And so I think also right now, when you look at not only serving entrepreneurs, which for many of us is a group of people in the world of business, is just not something that is native to us necessarily. It can be scary, you know, and there are so many other priorities that we have to address that it can get lost. And yet, helping people achieve financial independence and realize their dreams is really what libraries are all about. So it's pretty fundamental to what we do. And I think coming out of hopefully our post-COVID world, that it is a time where we need to refresh ourselves and refocus. And I think this particular conference is a great way to re-energize yourself when you see all the creativity that's loose in our profession. It's very uplifting to see that that librarians in all over the world and in all different types of libraries are making a difference. And if they can, we can, you know. And so that's with all that renewed energy, it is time for us to refocus on what I view as a central core mission for public libraries globally, and really all libraries. Okay, so
Yeah,
that's what I would hope. People
yeah.
that I hope people come away refreshed and refocused as a result of this conference.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
That is, yeah, that is the main point. Thank you. And any other thoughts and experiences that you would like to share with us, please?
No, and I think one of the things that I've really appreciated for the meetings I've been able to make, and both for this conference and other conferences and other events like the pitch competition, is I'm just so appreciative of all of the folks who are making this happen. I've learned a lot. I've had a great time, and we've worked hard. And I just hope a lot of people take advantage of all the good hard work that we've done.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for accepting the invitation, for your great contribution. And I would like also give a special thanks to EBSCO for supporting public libraries like entrepreneurship and public libraries. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. You have a good rest of the day
Thank
or
you.
evening, as the case may be. And
Thank you.
we'll see you soon. All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.